Yay! Okay, so welcome to my class. My name is Karen Schwob Ticknor. Today we are going to be learning about the practical use of daily life. And I am going to now figure out and share a PowerPoint slide that I just created yesterday. So bear with me 1 second. Can you all see the PowerPoint slide? Hold on, should be seeing it here.
Yep.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
I see it.
Awesome. All right. And that reminds me, we're going to go into lecture mode. Sorry, guys, but you do sort of have to be quiet now. Okay, awesome. So please use the chat. I will go back and forth in looking at the chat. But we're going to do this, and this is new technology, so, or at least not technology I use often. So, let's see, there is a way to make this, that wasn't it. Let's see, start from beginning. There it is. Okay, so I want to do a little intro, and I also want to say thank you so much for coming and being part of this Jedi Gathering. I know that when Allie made the decision to cancel the in-person gathering, I think a lot of people had that moment of sadness of, oh no, yet another thing's being canceled due to the stupid pandemic. And then not just me, but many others of us said, you know what, let's try a virtual one. There's this Zoom thing. Let's try that. And so I really thank Allie for trying to come up with something that wasn't Zoom, because that would have never worked for what we're doing. But I'm really glad that we all came together and we did this. And I'm really impressed because we have had so many conflicts in the past where trying to get people to come together can be very hard. And people are shy, and people are scared, and people are worried about judgment. And I think this weekend, there's been a lot less judgment than normal. There's probably a little. There's always Facebook PMs. We all know that dirty little secret. But I'm really impressed with how much that we've been really working together. We've been talking. We've had some great classes, great ideas spread around. I really love this, and I'm so impressed. And I've been with the community since like 2006, so I've seen a lot, and wow, I would have never thought this was possible. And I also want to say, for next year, hopefully COVID does not last until next year, please, please, let's try to work a little bit harder to get all of us, or as many of us, to a real-life gathering, because I think that is going to be really beneficial. And I think we can really work together and maybe tear down some of these barriers that we've had as a community. I hope. I'm always hopeful. So anyway, with that, let's get into the lecture for today. Today we are going to learn about practical uses of the Force. And the reason for that is that I normally teach theory and how-to. So I'll teach what is the Force, how does it work, how does it not work, what is Hollywood, what is real, and then I'll teach the 1, 2, 3 method that many people are familiar with. And I do that with a bunch of different skills, but I never really go into when would you use this, why would you use this, how do you incorporate this in your real life, because it's not just enough to sit in class for 2 hours learning about the Force and maybe practice for 5 minutes a day. The real goal of my classes is to get you so immersed into the Force that you use it throughout your life. And I do. I don't talk about it. I don't make a big deal about it. I sometimes grab examples for my classes, but I really do use the Force throughout my day and throughout various scenarios. And when this virtual class came to be, and my original plan for just teaching the living Force in nature got scrapped because stupid COVID, I thought, oh, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I get them more thinking about open and practical uses, things that they can use throughout the day, and maybe get them to understand my view, my perspective, my way of using and feeling and understanding the Force. So that is why we're doing this class. And I have to remember to look at the chat every so often, so I'm going to briefly do that. All right, no comments, everything's good. You are welcome to have any comments or anything you want. Feel free to talk. So let's see if I can figure out. Okay, awesome. So before you practice, this is just a few things I want to go over. At least that I know, most of you or all of you are Jedi. So if you're going to be a Jedi, do not use the Force in a dark side manner. Please do not use the Force to scare people. Use it to get a completely unfair advantage. I'm frankly not a fan of using it in the lottery. Plus, how many people actually use the Force to win the lottery? And yeah, so don't use it to show off to people unless they know what they're being showed off to. So if they're in the classes, if you're teaching them, that's okay to show off, but I don't want like an X-Men situation where we're just trying to be like show-offy and look how powerful I am. So don't do that. That actually does lead to the dark side. You do not have to use the Force all the time. Although this class will be going into the many examples you can use the Force, don't get so reliant on the Force that you forget how to be a normal person. You need to be grounded in reality, and it is easy to get very ungrounded in reality if you use the Force all the time. You can sort of, again, make yourself into that superhero mindset, and that's not healthy. So do things normal. Use the backup cam in your car. Do things just slow and steady. Balance between both using the Force and not using the Force. Don't put yourself in danger. I don't want you in the hospital. I really don't. Don't get in a car accident. Don't push yourself health-wise. Don't do anything dangerous. I'm not wanting you to get into danger. That's not the point of this. Seek medical help when needed. That means if you're doing Force healing and it's not working, go to a doctor. Please. Don't don't sue me if you get sick and like end up in the hospital and you're like, Karen said blah blah blah. No, Karen said go to a doctor, go to the hospital when need be. If it fails, it fails. Get the antibiotics. And if you have the antibiotics, you can still use the Force to help heal yourself. That is not cheating. It doesn't hurt the antibiotics. The antibiotics will not hurt your ability to feel the Force. It works. So do whatever. You are not limited. Be creative. Just because I'm naming a lot of examples and you're like, but she didn't say blah, blah, blah. You can do that. You have freedom to do whatever you want with the Force so long as you do not go to the dark side and you're not hurting yourself or others. Use judgment in public. Basically, there are many times you should not be using the Force in public, or if you're going to use the Force in public, be discreet, be quiet, don't make a big fuss, don't be like, ooh, now I'm going to close my eyes and make a big dramatic thing and raise my hands. And no, don't do that. Be respectful. The public right now is not really into the ESP thing. That's cool. That's great. Maybe in another 50 years we will, or maybe we won't. But if you're going to use the Force in public, be discreet, be polite, just look like you're meditating, and nobody knows what you're doing. Or just stare off in the distance, but make sure it's not an awkward staring off in the distance. And then last but not least, practice non-Force skills. What I mean is, this weekend we've been working on a lot of doing your inner work, your meditation, your mindfulness, integration, all of that. Even doing walking and doing mental exercises and studying languages and all that. Do your non-Force skills to help strengthen your force skills. Meditation does that. Emotional integration does that. And if you don't know what emotional integration is, basically it is a technique of looking into your emotions and resolving them. Feel free to see me after class. You can go on Facebook, or you can go to Discord and IM me there, or just say, hey, Karen, you said something about emotional integration. I don't even know how to spell that, but something about dealing with my emotions. Help me. So I will be like, okay, let's go through that, and I will walk you through it. I have a whole class on that. I think I can hear chat happening. Is that true? Yes. Someone has to go. That's okay. And yes, Alethea, I am recording. I made sure to record. Okay, and I think everything's good. Okay, if you have to leave, you have to leave. I understand. Not a big deal. All right, so now, let's see, going on to the next one. I want to go into feeling the force, and I want everybody to practice it. I asked in the chat, well, in Discord, if everybody knew how to feel the force. I'm hoping you still do, so at least that all of you still do, that's what I mean. So let's practice feeling the force, and I'm going to walk you through step by step. I'm going to pause between each step, but I'm not going to pause like I normally do with newbies, so it's going to be a little bit more rushed than normal. So let's go through this, and you can just read the steps if you just want to ignore me. So, how to feel the force. Step 1, breathe. What I want you to do is get a nice comfortable position. You can sit up, you can stand, you can lay down. Sitting is the best, but you don't have to. You can even do this while walking or playing sports or anything else. So, but just sit down, relax, and I want you to take slow, deep breaths. Just breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. And just do that. And as you breathe, find the stress, find the little aches and pains, find the worry and the emotions and whatever else is going on, and let it go. You can come back to all your stresses and your worries when you're done with this. Just breathe, relax, let yourself be. Take a moment. I'm going to be quiet for a moment. So step 1 was breathe. Step 2 is the song. Find a song that you know well, that you find calming, relaxing, peaceful, something that you can really get into. Play it in your head. Now you could sing it, you could play it on your computer or your phone, but best to do it in your head because when in public, you can't do this. You can't just sing whatever you want. So pick a calming song, run it through your head, let yourself feel that peace. Feel the want to relax and calm down. And I'm going to give you another minute to go ahead and do this. And as you do this, remember to breathe, relax. All right, so step 2 is the song. Step 3 is stare at air. Now, what I mean by that is I want you to pick something that is not your computer, not your screen, and not moving, so not the pets. Pick something. It can be a cup, it can be a shoe, it can be the straw on your floor, it can be a spot on the wall, a spot on the floor. I don't care what you look at. Just find something to look at. Now, take a look at it gently, and then take a mental step back. Stare at this space between you and that object. Stare at the air, but don't stare at it like you're trying to see the air. Just a simple, gentle glaze, like you're kind of lost in thought. Now, while you do that, play the song in your head and remember to breathe. Let yourself go. You're okay to let go. Go get lost. Just exist. And I'm just going to be quiet. All right, step 3 was stare at air. Now, if you can feel the force, please go ahead and post in the chat that you can, just so we're all on the same page. If this is your first time, you should be feeling something warm, cold, tingly, buzzy, kind of a lightness feeling, maybe your blood rushing, but it's not your blood. If you're feeling any of that, that is the force. And if this is your first time feeling the force, please post it in the chat. Well, I mean the chat in the free conference call thingy, not Discord, please. It is absolutely okay to close your eyes. That is okay. Eventually you can get to the point that you do not have to close your eyes. It's really just a matter about finding that feeling and getting very comfortable with it and using it, and then you can just feel it while you're walking around. I love going on walks. I don't necessarily do this with my hikes because I'm usually upping and puffing up mountains, but when I'm on nice flat ground and I know the path well, I just feel the force, I feel the living force, and I'm good to go. Yes, don't fall asleep. Fall asleep is bad. I wouldn't recommend doing this right before bed. And Jennifer, yes, tingly in your hands, yes, that is the force, so well done. Sounds like people are doing it. Okay. Yes, Connor, I understand. For most of you this should just be a review. But it never hurts to be removed yet again. Okay, so it sounds like we're good to go. I want you all to feel the force. I always start off my classes with everybody feeling the force, and I find that just makes the class better. You're more in tune with everything, and you kind of more understand what I'm talking about. For those who are new, I apologize. We are going to go way deep down the rabbit hole into the wild world of ESP, of the Force. I presume that all of you know about the various skills that I teach, things like empathy, telepathy, precognition, as we're seeing the future, sensing, healing. I do teach telekinesis, but there is not a practical use for that, unfortunately. I wish I could levitate. I can't. So I do not include telekinesis in this because it is not practical. You can't use it in day-to-day life. You have to sit down and just practice. And it's really, really hard. I've been practicing recently, and it's really, 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 really hard. One of the main reasons why I don't generally teach this to my students anyway. But I'm going to presume all of you are comfortable with this, that you know about this, and if you are new, please talk to me. I'd be happy to get you my lessons and walk you through it. I've got nothing else to do this summer other than work and hike up mountains, and I occasionally need to be reminded to go back to the Jedi and practice teaching and get into that world. So please. And awesome. All right, so let's continue. And all right, so I'll walk you through kind of a day-to-day kind of life. I presume most of you work. I don't know all your jobs, so I'm going to go with the ones that I know and things that I could think of you doing. like I said before, you are not limited to anything I said. You can practice it in any way. And if you come up with some creative uses of the Force, save that for the end of the class. I would love to hear them. And if this inspires you to come up with some creative uses, feel free to message me and say, hey, Karen, I've got this great way of using the Force. I would love to hear it because I'll use it for my next class, the next time I teach. So let's start off with the morning. Oh, and one more thing I want to say is that a lot of these things I do or I have done many, many times. Kind of a rule that I only teach what I can do or, what is practical and useful and what I feel is safe. So I promise all this comes from experience. So let's just talk about waking up in the morning. You come out of a dream or not a dream. You start to wake up. You realize you're in bed. It is morning, but you're kind of at half asleep, half awake state, more asleep than awake. You know that state. And you're just really relaxed. It's the weekend or it's a day at work, but work is not too stressful. You're okay. And you're just like, I love this moment. Well, this is a great time to feel the Force. You're already relaxed. You don't need to do the 1, 2, 3 method. You're already in a good mindset. So reach out. Just take that awareness that you have and let yourself open up to the Force. Because remember, the Force is flowing through everything, including you, whether you're aware of it or not. It's kind of like air or dust or wind or water that is constantly going down a stream. It doesn't care whether there's a rock or not. It's just going to keep, flowing downward. Well, the Force is like that. The Force is always there. You just have to make yourself aware of it. And so you can just gently open yourself up and feel the Force. You can do pretty much anything you want with the Force at this point, but this is a good time to maybe just feel the Force inside of you. So practice feeling the living Force. Now, you wake up, you got your much-needed coffee or whatever your beverage is. I always drink water. And you get to your breakfast spot and you sit down, and let's say you're staring out a window. This is a great time to do your morning meditation. You don't have to do meditation in the morning, but many of us do find it good. And I don't necessarily do like this all like Buddhist Zen meditation, but I do take a few moments. And just like look at the window, stare outside. Note that it's a brilliant sunny day, or maybe not a brilliant sunny day. Maybe it's snowing and it's winter. I don't know. It's your day. And just enjoy the coffee, enjoy being awake, enjoy the fact that it's a new day and anything could happen, good or bad, and, just take a moment. This is good. You are slowly bringing your awareness to the day. It helps strengthen your connection with Force. It's going to set you up for a better day. It's always good to go. I think Karen went through plenty of things about points about meditation. Now is a good time to take stock of your body. So you can use the Force to sort of just feel your body. Does anything feel out of place? Do you have aches and pains? Do you feel kind of sick today? Do you feel really good? Do you feel calm? Do you have a lot of energy? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Whatever it is, you can feel the Force to use all that. Now you are getting dressed, and this is a little game I like to play with myself. And I've been doing this forever. So while I'm in my dresser and I'm picking out my socks, my shirts, my pants, everything I need, especially like the socks and the underwear. And no, I do not mean like making this sexy or lewd or anything. It's just stupid, silly, fun things. I like to take like the socks and I like to throw them, and then I like to like throw them over my head and see if I can catch them without being able to see it. And I like to use the Force. Now, I'll try just to do a very passive grabbing at it, and if that's not working, I'll then use the Force where I sense Either I'll like try to sense where the sock is, or I'll just ask the force, when do I go shoot up my hand and grab, and where do I shoot up my hand and grab? And that works. It really does. I mean, it's amazing. So, and then if I'm not doing it, that's actually, like if I'm missing it, that's actually an indication there's something emotional going on with me. Something is distracting me from this. So I should probably take some time to go look at my emotions and go, okay, what's going on? What's causing this problem? Because if I don't deal with this now, this is going to get so much worse throughout the day. And when you deal with customer service for a bank, oh yeah, your emotions come up real fast. Now, you got undressed, you are now trying to get your lunch, you're trying to get ready, you're trying to get out that door, and you got the pets. I have 2 cats, I love them to death, but in the morning they are determined to try to kill me by tripping me all the time. I'm pretty sure they're trying to keep me from getting out that door. If I fall over and die, I can't leave them, of course. Okay, maybe they don't think of that, but they're still trying to trip me. So it is a good idea to now use sensing, sense where those cats are or where the dog is. You can even use this with your children who are desperately running around avoiding school to death. You all have been there, I'm sure. And then finally, oops, hold on, how do we get back? Yes, haha, figured that out. All right, so we finally, you're in the car, and now is time to start using your sensing. And precognition, foreseeing the future. And what I mean by all that is that it's time to, like, when you're backing out, because I have to back out of my parking spot to get into the road. So now is time to sense, are there cars around me? Are there cars coming near me? Am I good to go? So and on top of this, do actually look around, because that is, you can't just rely on the force, and you shouldn't rely on the force. But just, kind of sense, look around to verify, and then you're good to go. And then when you're driving, because depending on where you are, you have crazy traffic. Salt Lake has really stupid drivers. We don't have a lot of traffic, but we have very stupid drivers. So it's a good idea to keep an awareness while you're driving. This does require practice. So do not do this if you're brand new to sensing. Get very comfortable with sensing before you do this while driving. But to kind of sense where the cars are and kind of keep an eye out for, maybe I shouldn't merge, or maybe I shouldn't change lanes, or, that turn is going to be a little tricky. You can also use precognition, short-term precognition, for sensing, like, I shouldn't turn because something's going to happen. I don't know what, because precognition doesn't really tell you everything about the future. It gives you a general warning, like, warning, warning, don't do this, or get in this next lane, you won't know why, just do it. Now, you do have the right to overpower that. If you think that's more like your anxiety or whatever, not the force, definitely override it. You do have that right. There's no shame. But I do encourage you to try it out. See what happens. Just be safe. No car accident. No hospital. That's important. And I'm going to take a moment because I can hear the chat going on. And I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yes, I've had a few precognitive dreams. Unfortunately, I tend to foresee death. So thankfully, I haven't seen anything in a few years. I'm really glad. Last time was about 2 volcanoes. I woke up, I read the news, and there was 2 volcanoes that had gone off and killed 2 people. That sucked. So, yeah, I don't really like precognition. Okay, so things seem good. All right, so I'm going to go to the next part. If I can figure this out. Come on. There we go. Work. So now you've survived the drive to work. Hooray. and you finally gotten out of your car, you gone to that awful building to go deal with the awful, evil customers and deal with that computer you thoroughly hate. And what thing is going to break today? Okay, so that's kind of my life. Banking really hangs by a thread, I'm convinced, computer-wise. I have no idea how it works, but somehow banking works. So there's a lot of uses of the Force while you're working, but I will admit that work is stressful and generally not fun, or at least mine isn't. Pays well, but not fun. So you have to learn how to relax a little bit, and you can have stickies, although I wouldn't recommend like writing on there "feel the force," because your boss has every right to go look at your computer and question what does that mean. So maybe use some sort of code term like energy. They don't know what energy is, but put energy or Karen's lesson. They don't know what that means. And if your boss asks, be like, oh yeah, she teaches like this self-help thing and it's helping me relax and do better at my job. See, they don't have to know. I'm very creative when it comes to finding ways to use the Force and not lie, but not necessarily tell the full truth. It's not bad in my opinion. If society doesn't want to deal with us, then we don't have to be fully truthful. Plus, we're kind of doing them a service by not going and saying, oh yeah, I'm practicing ESP. I'm in this class with this crazy woman who claims that she can do all this cool stuff. Yeah, no, nobody wants to hear that. So you can say whatever you want. So dealing with angry customers. I work at a call center, and I work with banking. I deal with people's money, their lives, their ID, everything about them. I could ruin them. I could save them. I could do anything. Unfortunately, I have to tell people no all the time. No, you cannot have that fee waived. No, you cannot overdraw your account. No, I cannot rush your paperwork that you waited until last second to get done. No, third party, I'm not going to give you any information about a customer because we have privacy laws, etc. So I always have to tell customers no. And of course, they get angry, and they're angry because they're scared. So I have to use empathy to kind of feel past just the anger so I can sort of better connect with them so I can help them understand why it has to be a no. I can't change the answer, but I can change their perspective and their understanding and help them accept it. And then let's say you're in retail, because I did a lot of retail throughout college. I worked at all sorts of stores. I worked at Target for 9 months. That's the longest I ever did. So I do have a lot of retail experience. So when you're walking through and you're on the floor and you're in charge of a section or cleaning a section, you have to deal with the crowds. So, and you can do this as a customer as well. I don't know if I have this later in the class, but you can use the Force to sense where people are so you can zoom through the crowd. I did this in middle school, actually, because my middle school was ridiculously overcrowded, like seriously, dangerously crowded. I don't know how it was legal, but somehow it was. And I used to have to get through the common rooms, and I used to use the Force to sense where the gaps were and understand that the gaps change. They may not be that size. And I also had to sense gap and include the fact that it wasn't just me, it was also my backpack that I had to consider as well. So, and that is really, really useful for getting through a crowd very quickly. You can just zoom on right through and you never really bump into anybody. Now, when you're first doing it, yes, you will bump into people. Just be patient, you'll get better. Communication with a team. You can actually sense the mood of the team, and you can sense through empathy the feel, the resistance. If a team is not communicating and not working together, you can kind of sense that. You can even kind of narrow it down to that one team member is being a grumpy butt and causing all these issues. And now you can focus on Mr. Grumpy Butt and see if you can calm them down or work with them, or maybe just work around them or work without them if that is possible. And then knowing the needs of the store. So you can kind of sense the fill out of your store and sense, all right, there's this big crowd here, there's some sort of commotion there. That area seems to be fairly calm. You kind of feel, and you can also feel like the emotions of the store. You can feel like the customers, or they're anxious, or everybody's kind of slow and steady. You can feel the flow of how the store and the business is running. Practice during slow time. So yes, I work for a call center, and not all the time it is back-to-back calls. Sometimes we have 5 minutes between calls and we're just sitting around doing nothing. This is a great time to sit and practice those skills I'm teaching. So sometimes I will practice using the force to make a psi ball or force ball, just basically a ball of energy between your hands. That's a great little practice. That's something that I'm not very invested with and I can let go. And if I get a call and doesn't take up too much attention, so I can watch the chat at my work and keep up on emails and pay attention to the conversations going around me, but it's a fun little practice. And you can just practice feeling the force and doing whatever you feel like while it's being slow. And then managing stress and frustration. We've all been there. The computer broke yet again. The customer is screaming hell at you. You can't get the thing that you need to go do your job, or your manager has put a ridiculous deadline on you. You have sales that you're not getting. Something is going wrong at work. This is a great time to breathe, relax, and feel the force just for a mere second. That helps with stress. It does. It also puts you in a mindset and reminding you, okay, I'm a Jedi. Even though I'm at work, I'm still a Jedi. I need to be a Jedi. I need to rise above this. I need to do better. I need to just cool my stuff and make this work. Certainly at my job, I deal with customers. They get very frustrating to deal with. They can spark rage at a second, or they can scare me. Because holy crud, now they're threatening this, and I know my manager is listening to me, and oh my goodness, this is all going downhill. I need to just calm down, take a moment, feel the force, try to find a way through this. And even sometimes when you're feeling the force, the answer to your problem will appear. It will just suddenly come out of the blue. You'll be like, oh, right, there's that program thing, or that new update, or my manager said this to me. Oh, yeah, I need to do this. Or remember that month ago when I had the same call, I suddenly remember what the answer is. Great. So feeling the force can help in a very stressful situation if you can remember to do so. So if you're in an office, again, yellow stickies are your friend. Put yourself a little note to feel the force and some code that makes sense to you. And then now to technology. Technology and the force don't really like to work with each other. So if you're finding that you're really using a lot of the force, or you had a great force practice in the morning, you were trying to get Karen's homework done, and you were all charged and kind of the wee feeling that you get off of the force, you'll know if you've been practicing a lot. You'll find technology doesn't like to work so much with you. There's a Buddhist gathering that I've gone to quite a few times, and in that gathering, it is just energy, 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 energy. You get more energy than you could possibly think to manage with. And key cards to your room, because this always takes place in a hotel, loves to die. And you don't dare bring a phone into the conference room, because your phone will not live, will not survive. It will die in that room. Plus, no phones allowed in that room anyway, but really, knowing that my key card dies, it's not good for my phone. My friend and teacher, Ray Jensen, He goes through computers and phones like you would not believe. He is just death to them. They tend to not last more than a year. I don't care what brand, anything you get, he kills all of them. So if you're finding you're having a lot of tech problems, my suggestion is ground. Grounding is good. If you don't know what grounding is, please see me after class. It's basically a practice of sending all that energy into the ground, out of view, and everything goes better. And with that, I'm going to look at the chat again, make sure everything's okay. Let's see, everything's good? Okay. You all are welcome to comment as you want. If anything is bringing up some points or reminders or anything, go ahead. All right, I guess we're good to go. There, I'm just talking to myself. Oh, yeah, that's no fun. Yes, Ty, you are in the right chat. You are, yes. Perfect. Okay. All right, I'm glad I'm not talking to myself, because that would really suck. All right, so let's go back. I lost my PowerPoint. That's okay. We'll figure this out. And to the next thing. After work. Hooray, you're free. You got through the evil, mean, nasty work where that customer called you names and the coworker talked things about you and your manager said you sucked and the world is no good, and you come home and you're tired and you're hungry and you're stressed out and you vaguely hate humanity, especially if you work at call centers. It's very easy to hate humanity. So now is a great time to remind yourself you're still a Jedi. You are, no matter how crappy your day was, you are a Jedi. So you cannot go to the dark side. I'm sorry. You need to let go of your need to hate humanity. So let's work on some things of how to do that. First off, for me, get dinner. Dinner makes the world better. Usually, if I'm hating humanity, it's because I'm hungry. And it's okay to take a few minutes and just chill and stare at your phone or pet the cat or watch TV. But I also find what's healthy is to not stare at TV for too long. You do need to do other things. It is good to zone out, but not for too long. This might be a good time to meditate if you want meditation. I don't. I generally don't want to sit. I either want to lay down or I want to walk. Those are my two things. So I just spent 510 minutes sitting, and I'm sick of it. That is how long 8.5 hours is, by the way. So taking a walk, you can use the Force to feel the living Force. If you don't know what the living Force is, please see me after class. I'd be happy to give you that lecture. And the living Force is, you can do a lot of different things. So you can feel the living Force just sitting out in your lawn. That is perfectly cool. You can do a much more intense version by going to the nearby woods or park. Woods is better, in my opinion, each to their own. I happen to live near the woods, about half a mile, so I get that wonderfulness. But I have a trail that goes through a bunch of woods and parks and forests, and there's a stream. It's called the Jordan River Trail, and it's wonderful. So I will take a walk, and I will just take a deep breath and relax, and then I will feel the living Force, and I will try to immerse myself into it. I will feel it outside of me, inside of me. I will feel the woods. I will feel the peace and the calm of nature. Nature has this really wonderful thing where it's just so relaxing. It's non-dramatic. It's living, it's thriving, it's competing. It has its own little bits of drama, but it doesn't have the drama of humankind. No backstabbing, no yelling, no fear, no panic, none of that. It's just nature. It's pure life. It's simple. It's basic. It feels so good. And by feeling the living force, it helps me separate from my life. It helps me get away from stress. It reminds me of the basic, more important things of life. There is life. There is working together. There is striving to be better and bigger. So that's really good. Chilling out. As I said before, it's good to stare at the phone, stare at YouTube. I love watching YouTube. But I also mean ground. Grounding is good. You can do this before your walk, after your walk. If you don't go on a walk, you can just ground, and you can do emotional grounding. You don't have to just do energy grounding. And it's the same concept as sending your emotions out of your body into the ground away from you. You can use this while cooking. The thing I like to use the force while cooking is, and I don't quite know how this works, but I'll put the timer on and then I'll go stare at Facebook. And for some reason, I have this internal sense of I know when it is to stop looking at the phone and go check on my oven. I don't know how that works. It has to be some sort of intuitive process, but it has something to do with the force. And I think it's a result of spending so much time in practice with the force that I have that extra connection. So give me 1 second. I got a dry mouth. Okay, thank you. Cleaning. Cleaning, I'm not really going to use the force while cleaning, but cleaning gives you a better environment and helps you relax and gives you a better mindset, so you more want to connect to the force. It's just one of those mental games. Also, a dirty house a dirty house can reflect a certain mindset. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're evil or dark side, but it can reflect that you have emotional issues. Those emotional issues need to be resolved, which will help you get better to the force. It all works together. Now, let's say you're waiting for a friend to message you or call you or come over, and you need to stay awake. The best thing I would say is go feel the unifying force. Again, if you don't know that term, see me after class. I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. However, I will admit this is not a newbie skill. If you have just felt the force for the first time today, you need a lot of practice before feeling the unifying force. The unifying force basically is, if you could think of the whole entire universe, everything we know and not, all of existence, whatever that means, and you could feel that. That would be the unifying force. It's very intense, very mind-blowing. It's a lot to take in. It will wake you up. It really will. I guarantee you, you will be up and perky and like, woo, let's go do things. I'm alive. So that might be a good practice for you. Taking care of the kids. Again, it's kind of like the story. You can feel what is going on with the kids. You can feel emotions. You can kind of use the force to sense where the kids are, or use precognition to sense, uh-oh, something's going to happen with the kids. I better just step outside. Don't know why, but I should step outside. And then let's talk about movies. So it's movie night. There are a lot of movies that can do this, but I think the most powerful movie that I have ever come across is Avatar with the blue people. That movie is really profound in my opinion. And the way I would do this is that when you're watching Avatar, start off with feeling the force. And watch the movie with the mindset of, I want to feel the force. And let the force rise and fall through you. And really get into the force. Welcome it. Embrace it. Because that movie makes you want to feel the force. Another thing is Star Wars, the last 3 movies really does do it. I don't know why. I just get really super empowered with the force every time I watch these movies. Yes, I'm a Jedi. Yes, this is my thing, but it really does do that for me. Not all movies do this. Like horror movies definitely will not do this to you. I would hope not. That would be scary. in itself. So, but there are many movies that do that. So if you're in the mood to get all empowered with the Force, Avatar, try it. Just try it. I let me know how it goes, and if it's not going, come to me, and we'll see what we can do to make that work. And with that, I want to check the chat again, see if there's any comments or anything going on. Karen, I understand that you don't have TV, but you probably do have you have your phone or a tablet, so you can do movies and stuff through that. Yep, Tech does not like the Force. And looks like no other comments. Again, you are welcome to comment. Alright, let's continue. The weekend! Hooray, you're like free for 2 days, except you came to the gathering. Okay, well, let's say it's non-gathering. Or you could do this after class. I mean, we have some free time after Allie's. Allie will be right after me, but after Allie. So, you know, or maybe tonight, or whatever. Find some time, but this is great activities to do during the weekend that you can use the Force with. So dancing. This is my own private thing. I'll never do a video on this, but what I like to do is I like to do dancing. I do a combination of a few different styles. I like to mix like ballet with ice skiing moves because I did a lot of ice skiing. Kind of this free flow thing that I see a lot of professional dancers do. I kind of like to mix that with it, and a little tiny bit, depending on my mood, a little bit of maybe Irish dancing, a little bit of that footwork, that crazy footwork I also like to include. It sounds crazy, it works for me, just do not judge, please. But what I like to do is I like to pick various songs, and I like to feel the Force, and I like to use the Force to direct my movement while I dance. And it creates a really beautiful thing, at least in my opinion, beautiful. I don't know what it looks like. I don't want to know either. But I find it very empowering. It makes me stronger in the dancing because I can dance even though I'm exhausted, I'm panting, I'm sweating, I'm even hungry, I'm dehydrated. I can still dance by really immersing myself in the Force. The Force can really do that. It's amazing. It will go beyond any endurance level you have. So it's really great if you need to lose weight and you need exercise. By the way, dancing helps with hiking, especially hiking up tricky mountains. Good little note. Another thing is that feeling the Force while I'm dancing actually encourages and strengthens my connection to the Force, and it sort of cycles itself up and up and up and up, and like it's really uplifting. Running. You can use the Force while you're running. You can also do this while walking. So, if you're running, you're running on like dirt, not just concrete or asphalt or that treadmill, you can use the Force to ask the Force, where do I put my feet for the best path, the fastest path, whatever it is that you need, you can do that, and it's really amazing. Sports, you can use the Force while you're doing sports. So let's take soccer, also known as football in the Europe countries. So let's say you need to use the Force for, first off, endurance. You can use the Force to sense when you should make a move, how you should make a move, things like that. You can sense, you know, your teammates having an issue. You can sense, sorry, hold on one second. You can sense, you know, precognitively. There's a lot of things you can use the Force with sports for. So I thoroughly encourage it. For me, I did ice skiing for a bunch of years, so I used to use the Force to sense when I could make a spin, because we had the middle part of the rink for spins, but that would get often crowded, and I would go to the other parts of the rink towards the ends, because it's in an oval, so I go to the narrow ends, and I would do spins there. And I noticed with the crowds tended to be in clumps, and you would have like 30 seconds between clumps, depending on how crowded it was. And you could get a spin in during those clumps. So if I wasn't necessarily visually paying attention, I could feel in the force, okay, I'm cool to do a spin. I could also, while I'm spinning, it's really hard to see what's around you. So I could spin, or I could sense, oh, wait, I need to end the spin because, you know, whatever, I'm going to hit a kid or whatever. So that's always good. I also, again, use the force, like when I sit in the store where you can get through the crowds, you can do the same thing with ice skiing. Again, remember, little gaps in the crowd do not stay put. They do not stay that same size. So you need to be very, very fluid while you're sensing. And then teaching. Like I'm teaching right now. I'm not doing I'm not doing this particular skill right now, at least that I'm not aware of. Mostly because I do not like video and I'm nervous. I'm not really in the right mindset. I do this when I'm doing chat, when I can just write out things. But I have this thing of that when I'm teaching, I connect to people using the force. I connect, and then I have this thing where people get kind of buzzed off of my own energy. So I'm teaching with energy, not exactly consciously, but I'm in a good mindset, and then people get buzzed off of that, and they really feel a lot of the force, and it's kind of really cool. I wish I knew how this worked, like how I could teach this in a 1, 2, 3 method. I don't really have a way to do that. It's just something that happens, and it happens with certain teachers. Again, I don't have a lot of info on that. I wish I did. Gardening. A lot of you like gardening. So, not all of you, but I've heard a lot of gardening going on. And it feels like with COVID, everybody's like, if I can't get out, you know, do things, I'm going to garden, dang it. Or we kind of realize how scarce food is. And people are kind of realizing, maybe I should grow my own tomatoes. So you can definitely use the force while gardening. I think Crystal made an excellent lesson all about that. I kind of don't want to go over what she went over. You need to see her video. She did better than I could explain. So really it's a lot about feeling the living force and feeling the plants and working with the plants. And yeah, she did an excellent job. I was so impressed. And with that, I've been hearing the chat ding, so let's take a look. See what the comments are. Yes, you can feel your loved ones, and I think I have that going on, so you're jumping ahead a little. Yes, you can definitely connect to music. And yes, you can use the force while working out. I would actually, let's see, who is that? Oh, Kent, yes. Kent, you kind of had more. You were writing an article or something about that. I would love if you could just give us a couple of points about that and maybe explain a little, or you don't have to do it in text. You can wait until the end of the class and share it if you would like. All right. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to ask questions. In my book, there are no dumb questions unless you're asking a purposely dumb question. At that point, you're a troll. So please ask questions if you have any. All right, so let's go on to the next thing. Here is, I think this is the end of it, so we're almost done. Don't worry, Allie, you'll have your time to get ready. You will. So this is other times. This is not a specific time of when to practice the force, but this is just any and all times. And hold on 1 second, that chat dinged. Oh, yes. Okay, so, this is just any and all times to kind of get you an idea of how much you can use the force in anything you do. And I was actually struggling before I got to this, and I was like, what do I do? What examples are there? And I was really scratching my head. Poor Kent had to listen to me try to figure out what do you use the Force with. I'm sure there's other things, but like at the time I couldn't think of it. And then yesterday while I was listening to everybody do their various classes, I was like, oh, that's a good point, write it down. Oh, that's another good point, write it down. So Connor and Jackie, thank you so much. You all inspired a bunch of ideas. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's talk about those other times. So group projects. This is not like high school group projects. I mean working, making an IKEA thing, like a bookcase or a dresser or whatever. I'm sure many of you have done IKEA things, and you have probably quickly realized that it works better to have more people with you. Or you are getting together to do a surprise birthday party for a friend, or you're planning out a trip together. Anything like that, working together, you can use the Force to kind of meld and bend and get everybody working with each other. You can also, while you're all working together, or you're all just doing something, you're hanging out together, take a moment to feel the Force, because there's a special feel to when everybody is together and happy and things are good and friendship is strong and humans are connecting and doing their thing. There's a feeling there. I can't explain it, but it's there. It's unique, it's powerful, it's wonderful, it's magical. Shopping. So let's say you're hunting around for the elusive thingamabob. It has to be pink. You don't have a clue where it is in the store. In fact, you've never been in the store, but you had some friend who said, you got to go to the store, you're going to find it. They didn't bother to tell you, by the way, it's like left field, fourth aisle over, middle shelf, and it's behind something. You're never going to find out, right? Okay, or let's say your wife sent you to the store for milk, and the store conveniently, or rather inconveniently, rearranged itself, and now you have no idea where the milk went. So you can actually feel the Force and say, okay, Force, I need to find that pink thingamabob. Where is it? And the Force will act like radar, and it will say, you need to go left, and you need to go left, kind of northish. I mean, it doesn't tell you northish, but you kind of get like this arrow in your head, go this way. So you follow that way, and you get into the general area, and you can then find it there. Or let's say your wife sent you to go get some sort of weird item that you've never had before, and you're looking at the shelf, and there's like 10 different choices. There's 10 different brands. There's all sorts of price ranges, and you're slightly embarrassed and prideful, and you don't have a clue which one to get. Or you're shopping for yourself, you don't have a clue which one to get. You honestly have never had this item before. Maybe it's a spice. Maybe it's some sort of weird gelatin or flour or something. I don't know. I'm sure you all have been there. And you're just staring at this thing, and you're like, I don't know which one to get. Back. Well, what you can do is say, okay, Force, I need to get this thing, and I don't know what it is. What would be the best thing? What comes out at me? And you will probably get one that'll be like this one. And you're like, well, I have no idea if this works or not, if this tastes good, or the electronics are good, or, it's just a good brand, whatever, but I'm going to go trust the Force. And more often than not, it works. You got the right thing. An example is when I first met Ray Jensen. He took me, it was towards the end of our little trip together. We met up at a Buddhist seminar, and he took me to a grocery store, and he's like, let's go buy alcohol. Well, I really drink. I drink occasionally, but very, very rarely. I don't drink enough to know anything about alcohol. I know nothing about wines, and we were in the wine section. And he's like, okay, feel the Force and pick out a wine. I'm like, I don't know anything about wines. He's like, it doesn't matter. Just pick whatever comes to you. So I walked around, and I picked this rose one. And So we then bought it and we took it back to the hotel, and he tried it, and he's like, and he told me that, you know what, Karen? I'm like, what? And I'm like, did I pick the wrong one? I picked the wrong one. I really picked the wrong one. And he's like, no, in fact, this is like really, really, really good. And it wasn't even really expensive either. So yeah, I picked a really good wine. I don't drink wine. I'm not a big alcohol drinker. I much prefer to have soda. I would rather be hyper than drunk. That's my preference. So you can do this while shopping. Very useful. Takes practice. You gotta trust the Force. I have gone over crowds, so I think we'll just ignore that. When sick, this is healing. This is where Kent gets really, really excited because I don't teach healing. I don't have any official techniques. I don't practice this all the time, but I have a couple of things that I can share to you. Again, please see a doctor if none of this works. Don't sue me. I'm broke. Well, I'm semi-broke. I have enough to pay my bills and afford a trip a year. That's happy for me. Don't sue me, though. So, healing. There's kind of this thing. I tend to get a lot of colds, and some of these colds love to go to bronchitis. And I also get a really horrible cough every time I get sick. I should not get COVID. It'll probably kill me. So I get bad coughs, and the cough loves to try to first go to upper lungs, to middle lungs. I've never really had it go worse than that. What I can do is I can use the Force to try to encourage the sickness to kind of leave. And I really hate teaching about healing because it starts sounding fluffy and BS-y, and it somehow works. It does, not all the time, but it works enough that I'm willing to even talk about it. Don't ask me how the theory of. I couldn't explain it. Another thing is, yeah, I've used it for the occasional headache to try to calm down the swelling and the pain of the headache. I've used it when I'm in agonizing pain, so when I go on all these hikes, nobody knows that I'm in dying, agonizing pain that evening. You all see the pretty pictures, but you don't know I'm lying in bed wishing my legs would fall off. So you can use the Force to help deal with the pain. Another thing you can do, and this is supportive to the Force, is integration. You can use the integration not just for emotions, but also for pain. If you focus in on the pain, it will initially flare up, but then it will calm down. I once had really, really bad pain in my shoulder. I don't know what it was, but it was really bad. I integrated for like an hour, and eventually I felt this pop in my shoulder, in my back, and suddenly the pain went away. It's cool. It's great. So integration does work. And the next thing is daydreams. So like a good Star Wars fan, I like to daydream. And I like to daydream about various scenarios in Star Wars. So what would happen if I suddenly got teleported to the Jedi Temple? What if I ended up at Dagobah? What if I met Luke Skywalker on that island? What if? So I like to then play around with, okay, let's say I'm using the Force and I'm doing this and this and this and this. I like to actually feel the Force and kind of act as if I'm actually doing that. I'm not creating any huge effects in real life. I mean, in my daydreams, sure, I'm lifting all sorts of crazy stuff. But it is good practice to feel the Force. Even though you're in a daydream, you're still practicing feeling the Force. Also with dreams, this I can't control. I'm pretty sure you could, but it's called Lucid Dreaming. You can look that up. But once in a great while, I will feel the Force in my dream, and I wake up and I'm still consciously in real life feeling the Force. You can do that. It's happened to me a couple of times. I don't have a way to control it, but I'm pretty sure if you got really good at lucid dreaming, you could probably do that too. Traveling. I've traveled all around the country. I've been in almost all the states of the U.S. I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico, and I've been to London. and a couple of trips outside of London. And what I like to do is I like to take a moment and feel the force in that wherever I am, and in that location. Even in Utah has different feels of the force all around. So in Salt Lake, we are part of a very, very ancient sea called Bonneville Lake. It was an inland sea. It is absolutely ginormous if you look at a map. And you can actually feel a very deep, old, living force. I mean, there's the living force of today, and then there's a deep living force of back then. And I can feel that. And the feeling of the force here feels different from, say, Arches. You need to go to Arches. Arches is weird and cool. Arches has a very unique feeling I've never felt before in anywhere else. You need to go to... I have been to Stonehenge. Stonehenge does have some sort of feel. I don't consider it as powerful as everybody says it is. I don't know what's there or what's not, but there is something going on there. If it wasn't ridiculously cold and icy windy when I went in the middle of winter, I probably could have gotten more information, but I stood still shivering, trying desperately to feel what it is about this place that everybody says. So there's a feel there. There's a feel in Mexico, where the Sun and Moon Temple is. There's a feeling there. There's a feeling in the Redwood Forests in Northern California. There's all these different feelings of every place. So I recommend if you're traveling, stop for a moment and feel the force and compare it to how it feels at home. You'll see a difference. With your lover, I think someone made a comment about this. You can use the force to better connect with your lover. You can also do this with a really good friend. It doesn't have to be about love, like a sexy love or anything. It can just be a humanly love. So you can really connect with your friends. So to the point that, yes, you can finish each other's sentences and such. So, yes, you can use the force. You can use empathy and telepathy. Telepathy is not reading each other's minds. It's a lot different from that. That's not what I mean by telepathy. I mean more of a general connection of thoughts and ideas. Again, see me after class if you want more information on that. Writing. I think Jackie went over this quite a bit, but I totally agree with her that you can use the force while you're writing, and you can just flow, and you can get some really beautiful writing. People love my lessons because I use the force while I'm writing, and it really shows through the writing. I have written one really good, complete fan fiction. It wasn't necessarily a fan fiction in like I took the movie fan fiction, but I made up a character and then used Yoda. And I wrote an entire story about that, and I definitely used the force through that, and it's rather amazing and beautiful. I'd be happy to share that for anybody who's willing to read 70 pages. I promise it's a really good story if you'd be willing to read it. Please, please, please. Art. I do a lot of painting, and you can definitely get into the flow of the force, and your art will look better. It's not just technique, it's just you'll get into the feel, you'll be able to convey a feeling, a message, something through the art. It improves your art. Gaming, yes, you gamers, you can use the force while you game. So I don't play a lot of like Xbox games. I don't have an Xbox, but I do play games on my phone. And the games that require speed, this is where the force is really, really useful. So if you need to do something very, very fast, you can immerse yourself in the force and let the force flow with the force and let kind of the force take over. And you can be like, okay, I need to go here, 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 do this, do this, do this, do this. And you can go faster than you can even think. Like you can't comprehend what you're even seeing, but you're moving and you're getting through the game and you're really, really cool and fast and you'll feel all Jedi like. And then challenges. You can use the force in all sorts of challenges. So practice feeling a little tiny bit of the force through your whole day. it's kind of like meditation where your brain will like go off and do other things. That's okay. Come back and feel the Force again. Challenge yourself to see how much you can feel, how little you can feel, how quickly you can feel the Force. Play little games like that with yourself whenever you have a moment, whether it's slow at work, walking to and from work, up on the weekend, waiting for something to happen. Excuse me. You can use the Force through all this. And I believe that's it. We are done. And I'm going to get this going. All right. Oh, yeah, yeah, the sunburn. So the story behind that is that I went to Disney World and I met Kent for the first time in person. And we went to the beach, and he told me all the story about how his wife got horribly sunburned. I was like, okay, yep, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that person. So we went out, and I had already pre-sprayed like my legs and my arms, but I totally forgot after a week of wearing a t-shirt that I needed to spray my back that was open with a bathing suit, and I didn't spray my face or my shoulders. So I had second-degree sunburn, and it was awful. Don't do that. It hurts. It's awful. So, yeah, I don't think I used the Force because I was in so much pain. It was awful. If you ever get into that bad of a sunburn, please go to a doctor. Get a painkiller. It's worth it. Advil was barely touching this. Like, it was so bad, I couldn't feel the Advil work. I could more feel when the Advil wore off. Like, the pain suddenly got worse. So, yeah. With that, I'm going to go ahead and open up the class. We have a little bit of time. I'm going to say we have about 10 minutes, and then I want to give Allie some time to get ready and help me figure out this whole recording thing. So I'm going to unmute. There you go. Let's talk.
So I did like the lesson, by the way. I thought it was very good. I thought it was very good.
And I'm sorry.
If you put lead on handlebar, it's okay.
I'm sorry. Whoever's spoking.
So if you put a lead, like let's say.
Wait, what? I keep hearing a child.
Lead.
I do too.
There.
Who's got a kid near them?
And if you were moving, she would make your handlebars do that. If you pull so hard, it'll make it like do full motion like that. So then your bike will just go.
It looks like it's someone named Gailey up there. They muted it. Well, maybe not.
Okay. Well, did you all have any questions or comments or anything you wanted to add? Any creative force uses that you have?
Not yet.
Hey, I got something. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Kent, go for it.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Yeah, this is Kent, and I just want to clarify that I offered Karen suntan lotion many times on that beach, and she never took it, so don't let her fool you. That's it.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm so sorry. Oh, man, did I pay for that?
We all learn our lessons.
Yeah, some learned well, but they're not fun.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I didn't know my mute was on or off, so I was using you guys to test whether it was on or off. This is Taiwan speaking. I think, Karen, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, I have to agree, and I have to say this is really a nice lesson. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're
Hey,
welcome.
Sean, dude. What's up?
So you guys were talking about how tech stuff works, and here I am trying to talk to you all, and you couldn't hear me because I was muted the whole time. So what I wanted to say with regards to the using the Force and other things, I like to use it with my food and my water in the sense of like, has anybody here ever heard of Masaru Emoto?
I have not.
No.
He's the one that does messages in water, where you meditate or you talk to the water and give it good things. If we had done the physical gathering, I was going to actually do a showing of a movie that talks about it, because the meal that I was going to prepare was going to use that principle. But,
yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Mine too.
So, Allie, you're bringing up a thing that I got taught. It's called transmutation, where you use the Force and you can actually change the taste of water and such. And yes, this is starting to edge into the Christian stuff, but I'm not going to say we're all Jesus. I'm not. I'm just going to say it's something a little bit like what Jesus did. So I don't teach it. I find it a little too controversial, and also it's very, very, very hard to do. It's definitely not a newbie thing, and I love teaching newbies, but yeah, you're reminding me of that, so that is a possibility.
Well, that's one. The other one, the one that I specifically am talking about is how you can change it for healing properties. Now, there are other methods of doing that if you don't want to sit there and meditate, but I think that meditation is still appropriate for it, more so than just putting some rocks in, some stones in, because there's crystal healing that you may or may not get the properties that you actually want out of the crystals when you put it in the water, and that could be a dangerous thing if you haven't meditated on them to make sure that it works. But yeah, that's one of the ways that I do it. Is like if I'm cooking, I'll put my own energy into the cooking or into the water that I'm using.
Okay. Anyway, did everybody find this useful? I've never taught this class, so I have no idea if any of this was effective or good info. Did you find this interesting, useful, inspiring?
I did.
So on speaking. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Very, very useful.
I think you did a very nice job. Thank you.
Very practical with regrounding. It helps us kind of refocus things. Even if we feel that we've known something, it helps refocus things and organize it. So I think that's mostly what I took from it. This is how I want again.
Excellent point.
Okay, well, with that, I think I'm just gonna, let's see, first off I need to stop recording.